is a special presentation of HBO Sports, the network of champions.
For the anti-hero Mike Tyson, it began as a love story. The romantic portrayal of how the elderly, eccentric trainer liberated the boy from a reform school to educate him in the secrets of combat art won fans by the millions. And the boy paid it all off with a dressed-down warrior persona and a string of sensational knockouts. True to the old man's prophecy, he became the youngest ever heavyweight champion and embarked on a path toward immortality.
He's down again and in serious trouble.
A path marked by glamour, gargantuan consumption, and excess. A path made darker and more complicated with each shedding of the superstar's skin. A path that ended abruptly in Tokyo, with the once invincible destroyer forlornly searching for his lost mouthguard. He would never again be the same, but his public was still blinded by romance.
For a long time, Lennox Lewis beat everyone but couldn't satisfy anyone. Despite many dominating performances, Americans considered him too cautious, especially for a big man, and, well, too British, the un-Tyson. Self-inflicted wounds when he arrogantly let his guard down years apart to two Buster Douglas-class opponents, Oliver McCall and Hasim Rahman, weren't fully healed by emphatic revenges. The judges who gave him a draw when he clearly beat Evander Holyfield seemed to be reviewing him, not the fight. Through it all, Lewis kept getting up and getting better, determined to be recognized as the best of his time. And that could only happen if he fought Mike Tyson, and nothing would stand in the way of that quest.
So last Saturday night, the faded shell of the former Comet met the less spectacular Solid Citizen for the heavyweight championship and for ultimate superiority in the three-man round robin they have shared with Evander Holyfield.
When Mike Tyson confirmed his instability at a bizarre press conference, major boxing states denied him a license. So a heavyweight championship fight became an outlaw event that wound up in the home of the Blues, Memphis, Tennessee, which wanted an economic jolt and a party.
In the end, conventional wisdom dictated the conclusion of the saga. Lennox Lewis's victory was more than just the final coronation of the best heavyweight of his era. It was the emphatic triumph of excellence over exhibitionism, of competitiveness over carnal pleasure, of substance over style. It was the definitive destruction of the myth of Mike Tyson, and a statement on Lewis's now lofty place in the history of heavyweight boxing.
Again, everyone, I'm Jim Lampley, along with HBO boxing analyst Larry Merchant. We talked for years about the possibility, so clearly did many of you, and last Saturday night it finally took place. Mike Tyson's long-awaited opportunity to move back to the top of the heavyweight division, where his many fans thought he belonged. Lennox Lewis's chance to prove once and for all that Tyson was nothing more than a carefully preserved and marketed myth. Larry, in an overall sense, what took place in Memphis?
Lennox Lewis gambled his reputation on one defining fight. And in winning that huge bet, he exposed an illusion, the Tyson of the 90s. Mike Tyson was such a force of nature in the 80s that he was able to sustain that image by raging through minor opposition for a decade, all the while descending from the fictional story of a redeemed bad boy to a proudly unredeemable, troubled felon. In Memphis, Lewis made Tyson the minor opposition, and he established himself as one of the great heavyweights.
As you're about to see, and later here in the studio, we'll have a conversation about the fight with Lewis himself and his increasingly legendary trainer, Emanuel Stewart. Well, even in the final days, as the boxing world gathered in an environment so big fight exotic, it may as well have been this generation's Kinshasa, Zaire. Skeptics speculated on what untoward event might knock the bout out again. But at 10:15 Central Time last Saturday, the two fighters finally exited their respective dressing rooms. So let's go back now to Memphis to hear how Fran Charles called the fight in company with Larry and George Foreman.
Let's take a look at the tail of the tape for this World Championship heavyweight bout between Lennox Lewis and Mike Tyson. Lewis is 10 months older than Tyson. Tyson will turn 36 at the end of the month. And it's Lennox Lewis enjoying a 6-inch height advantage and a 13-inch reach advantage. When both fighters stepped on the scales, Lewis weighed nearly 15 more pounds than Tyson. Incidentally, both camps expected their fighters to come in at about 5 to 6 pounds lighter. Apparently, there was a problem with the scale. 5 of the last 7 Mike Tyson fights have ended in controversy. Rules of the bout now with unofficial ringside scorer Harold Letterman.
And now, Lennox Lewis and Mike Tyson will fight for 12 rounds using the rules of the Association of Boxing Commissions. There is no standing 8 count, no 3 knockdown rule. Only the referee can stop the fight. In case of an accidental headbutt, we go to the scorecards after 4 rounds have been completed, and you cannot be saved by the bell in any round, including the 12th and final round. Fran.
This is the moment the crowd here at the Memphis Arena has been waiting for. Here comes Iron Mike Tyson, born and raised in the Brownsville section of Brooklyn, New York. For the first time in Tyson's 55-bout career, he will enter the ring as an underdog. Lewis is an 8-5 favorite.
But when he enters the ring, Fran, he'll find out that he is surely the favorite in this crowd. And entering the ring, this fight has already exceeded the expectations of many just a short while ago.
The city of Memphis learning on a trial and error basis.
Tyson is the underdog because Lewis is the champion and because Lewis has fought more formidable opposition. In the last 11 years, Tyson has fought just one top heavyweight, Evander Holyfield, and lost both times. And yet he has the style and the punch to make all that seem like rhetoric.
Vintage Mike Tyson on his way to the ring. No rope, just a towel. And black boots, no socks. We'll see vintage Mike Tyson once the fight starts.
The good thing about Tyson, he's filled with sweat. That's what you want your fighter to be, nice and wet before a fight.
As you can see, there is a row of security guards lined up diagonally across the ring. These two fighters will remain separate until the first bell.
I think it was probably Vince McMahon, the genius behind the World Wrestling Federation, who arranged all of this.
There you get a good up-close look at the 3-time heavyweight champion, Lennox Lewis. We mentioned he comes in as the favorite. Lewis was hoping for a more partisan crowd tonight since England is participating in the World Cup soccer tournament. Many Brits electing to follow the soccer matches rather than come over to Memphis. So Lewis's supporting cast may not be as strong as he likes.
Yeah, but you go around this city, I've run into so many people speaking with that British accent that you would think there is no World Cup. This town is loaded with the British.
Lennox Lewis really made this fight happen after the fracas at the New York press conference when he was bitten by Tyson. He could easily have gotten out of it if he wanted to. He didn't want to. He sees this as an opportunity to confirm his place as the best heavyweight of the 90s. This is a somewhat illicit fight in the sense that all the big boxing states didn't want it, and all of this security adds to that sense that this is a kind of an outlaw fight.
I think they wanted it. They were just too afraid to accept it, to get it.
You cannot fault the planning. Everything coming off without a hitch as the fighters enter the ring. The heavyweight champion of the world now will go to his half of the ring. Lewis 13-2-1 in championship fights. On this unique occasion for boxing, we have not one ring announcer but two. Let's send it inside now to Jimmy Lennon Jr. and Michael Buffer.
Ladies and gentlemen, a very good evening to you, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Pyramid in Memphis, Tennessee. It is time for our historic night of boxing and our long-awaited, much-anticipated featured bout of the evening. This bout coming away is brought to you by Lion Promotions, Main Events, and Fight Night, Inc. in association with Prize Fight Promotions, as presented by the undisputed King of Beers, Budweiser.
Tonight here in Memphis, Tennessee, we will turn the page to another chapter in the history book of boxing legends. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the main event. 12 rounds of boxing for the linear, legitimate, and universally recognized, undisputed heavyweight championship of the world. The three judges assigned to ringside scoring this contest on the 10 points must system are from South Africa, Alfred Bukwana; from Thailand, Anik Hongtongkam; and from Belgium, Bob Logis. And when the bell rings, your referee in charge of the action from the United States, Eddie Cotton.
All right, fans, here we go with the main event of the evening. And now, ladies and gentlemen in attendance and boxing fans joining us around the world, the time for talk is over. The time to fight is here. It's the time we've all been waiting for. Live from the Pyramid in Memphis, it's fight time! Introducing to you first the challenger. On my right, he is fighting out of the blue corner, entering the ring wearing his traditional solid black trunks and hailing from Catskill, New York. He weighed in at 234 1/2 pounds with a record of 49 wins, 3 losses, 2 no contests. He has 43 big wins coming by way of knockout. Here is the youngest man ever to win the heavyweight title, currently ranked the #1 contender by the WBC. Please welcome tonight's challenger, the explosive 2-time heavyweight champion of the world, introducing the one and only Iron Mike Tyson.
And fighting out of the red corner, wearing white, trimmed with red letters, and officially weighing 249 1/4 pounds. He captured Olympic gold in 1988. Now, as a professional, he has 39 victories, including 30 knockouts and 3 world titles. He has 2 defeats and a draw. All by way of rematch have been changed to victories. making him one of the few men in boxing history to have virtually defeated every man he has ever faced. Ladies and gentlemen, from London, England, presenting the three-time world champion, the linear, legitimate, and universally recognized, undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, Lennox Lewis. Now, step forward when the bell rings. Only one will be Destiny's hero. Only one will pass from heavyweight greatness to heavyweight legend. So now there's only one thing left to say. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble!
We've had two announcers. I wonder if we're going to have two bells when this fight finally starts.
Well, you don't want to have two punchers too cautious. And that's what can happen when you have dynamite punchers. They are both too careful.
We're underway. Lennox Lewis and Mike Tyson for the heavyweight championship of the world. Tyson attacking Lewis, and Lewis comes right back with 3 uppercuts.
It was one initial uppercut that changed everything right now. Lewis unloaded an uppercut with a surprise.
Lewis ripping from down low, and Tyson tries to counter, and Tyson unveils the quick left hook. It's what we expected in the opening moments.
I'm surprised Tyson is able to hit so easy with an uppercut. There was no missing.
Tyson may have been slightly dazed by one of those uppercuts.
May have, no doubt about it.
The man in between Lewis and Tyson, Eddie Cotton, 6'5", 250 pounds. And that's no accident. Cotton handpicked to make sure he can handle the masses inside the ring.
It's going to get real ugly if Lewis keeps clinching the way he's doing.
Well, what is he supposed to do when the smaller man dives into him?
You better fight Tyson. You better fight him. You better fight him good. You start clinching him, you give him all the courage that he needs.
But that's what Holyfield did to him. He clinched him and frustrated him.
It's different because Holyfield is down low. This man is up high.
A good short right hand inside by Lewis.
Now, Tyson is looking at the referee already.
Tyson with a rap to Lewis's midsection.
That's what Castillo Amato specialize in. Go to that body, go hard. Then make a man afraid of what's going to happen on top. Go hard to the body.
Emmanuel Stewart, Lewis's trainer, told us Lennox cannot fight backing up. That's when Mike Tyson is most dangerous. Tyson still, though, seems to be the aggressor of the two. Lewis downloads with a big right cross.
That right seemed to land in the back of Tyson's head as he lowered it.
And he's allowed Tyson to stop moving his head now. But this is real ugly. The referee better caution Lewis about the holding.
Tyson right now trying to figure out a way to get in close
close enough to punch the much taller Lewis.
This man ain't much of a fighter. Just settle down. If you really would see how bad he looks, it would be surprising. Settle down, get yourself together, start working your jab. You took all of the anger and slowed him down already by wrestling and tying him up. Okay? Just take your time. Don't let him fight the fight that he's trying to make you fight. Take your time, get to work at your jab. If you hit him with the right hands and uppercut. Just slow down.
Maybe two. If you can get two in, that's fine, okay? But don't let this guy try to tire you out. Relax yourself. I'm telling him.
Just stay cool.
We hollering at him, okay? Okay, just relax yourself, baby. That was a good round. You won the first round, okay?
Double jab like we worked on, step up, control the second jab. You got this
Every time you get one. Now look, start using your face now. He's trying to load up with his right hands on that. He can try to come on top first and then uppercut, okay? Be fast, baby. Be fast.
Tyson is paying some attention to his corner, which is something I didn't expect.
Let's go.
Jabs will be very important throughout the fight. Lewis landed, throwing 23. Tyson throwing 3. And now Eddie Cotton warns Lewis.
That's going to be hard for him to stop doing because Emmanuel Stewart has given Lewis the permission to keep holding and tying him up. He's not doing it out of desperation. He's doing it out of instructions.
Lewis with a big right uppercut.
Now Tyson able to get in a left jab. That's not what you want to see.
Come on, pick it up.
So far, that referee is getting in there quick enough. Lennox Lewis pushed Tyson away that time. That's what you got to do. Push him away.
Lewis seems to be concentrating on firing his right hand with uppercuts. There's another one.
And right afterwards, a hold.
Go to corner. Mike, go to corner, go to corner, go to corner. He's holding. No, stop holding. You're holding. All right, you got to stop holding. Come on, let's go. All right, let's go. Let's stop holding. All right, go.
Eddie Cotton asserting his power in the ring. Lewis unloads with another right uppercut.
Get out.
Tyson's only got in one body punch.
Tyson still trying to figure out a way to get in. His footwork and his speed used to be such that he could easily get inside bigger guys.
You know what he's doing? He's just got to wait a couple of rounds. Big guys get tired quicker than the shorter guys. Just got to wait. Just keep your head moving and wait. There's a second body punch by Mike Tyson.
Lewis pushing Tyson away also for the second time in this round and delivers another solid uppercut. But it's Lewis. Another right hand to the jaw of Mike Tyson.
Okay, look, champion, look, listen to me. Remember I told you, you cannot let this man throw too many jabs at you without you coming back with something, right? Okay, look, you started using your face, but you quit jabbing. You have to be in this man's chest. You understand? Make this a very ugly fight now, okay? I want you right in.
Gonna change it. He's slowing down real bad.
35. It's 35 that round. Left hand. Keep your hands
Work
up.
the jab. The jab is pumping now. The jab is pumping. That's what you're waiting for, right there.
Keep your hands up, baby. Keep
Fighting
your
the
right hand
masterpiece that round. Dude, you're on your way.
Mouthpiece. There you go. There you
You're
go.
on your way, baby.
George, Lennox Lewis has been holding his hands very low. Is he inviting a disaster?
Well, Tyson is real low. You got to put your hands down where your man is, and he's not doing it. It's just that if you're up too high, you can't get that shot in. That's the danger of fighting a taller guy. But he's doing an excellent job of out-jabbing him now and being cautious. Tyson is desperate.
Total punches in round 2, according to CompuBox Punch Stat. Lewis 22 of 40 for 55%. Tyson 7 of 35 for 20%.
Going into this fight, everybody thought that Mike Tyson had the stronger jaw. He has certainly shown a strong jaw in this fight because he has taken some solid shots so far.
He's allowing Lennox Lewis to just move around the ring and do whatever he wants. Tyson's got to start throwing his jab to Lennox Lewis's chest and stop trying to hit his head. That's a good body shot by Mike Tyson. He can get that right hand down there low and make it sound. He's coming on top with it sooner or later.
Ronnie Shields told Tyson to make it an ugly fight. Is that because he thinks that Lewis has had his way from a distance?
Yeah, he wants him to get closer. Don't make it look so pretty standing out there bobbing and weave. Get close, make it raggedy.
Get out, get out, get out.
When we met with Shields, he told us he showed Tyson a lot of tapes of himself back in the 80s. There was a lot of head movement. He was in balance, and he used his jab a lot more.
And you see Lewis is putting his head on, hanging down on the boy's head. This could cause some problem with the referee, and I'm telling you. Excellent jab by Lewis. And a hold. This starts working on the back when a guy keeps leaning on you. Whoa! Music by Tyson.
Tyson comes up with a surging left hook.
And there's a cut on the right eye of Tyson, it appears.
And they butted head there for a second. Lewis got hurt that time also.
Tyson blinking with the blood in his eye. Lewis calmly looking at his corner and saying, I've got it under control.
The referee better get in there. You can't instruct him. You got to just brush your way right through.
Dr. Ira Trocchi in Tyson's corner will go to work on that cut.
Listen to me. Tyson, get his nose. Now look, listen to me.
Okay, Mike, you're fine, Mike.
You got to relax
Give me
yourself.
a towel to wipe him.
Give me a towel, give me a towel, give me a towel.
You're relaxed, you're relaxed.
Okay.
Nice and relaxed. Now, Mike, look, listen to me. Now, look, you let this guy have his way on the outside. You understand? Don't let this man have his way on the outside. You got to be close to this man. You understand? You got to stay close. When you get close, shoot your uppercuts and go to the body with this man. Okay? Use your feet.
He can't deal with nothing coming to him. This fight's gonna deal with it if you do. You sit down and get yourself together. You can't just be retentive just to do this here and do this. And shoot that damn uppercut some. The man is tired.
Here's Lennox Lewis's jabs as he has his way from outside. And that first jab there may have caused the cut.
Lewis averaging 25 jabs per round. When he throws that number, he's very dangerous.
Stop in there. Let's go. Stop in there. Stop in there. Come on, let's go.
Let's bring in Harold Letterman to see how he has the fight scored through 3.
Okay, Fran, 29-28, 2 rounds to 1, Lennox Lewis. Fran, I just looked over at Eddie Cotton, and he signaled to me that the cut was caused by a punch, not a headbutt. So if this fight gets stopped because of that cut, Lennox wins on a TKO. In the first round, I thought Mike Tyson did a nice job getting inside, but in rounds 2 and 3, just like you saw right there, Lennox stood on the outside, used that jab, and came up with some nice, solid right uppercuts.
At this point in the fight, the bad boy of boxing is getting spanked by Lennox Lewis, but he is always dangerous.
Lewis following the Holyfield blueprint, push pushing Tyson back, leaning on Tyson. And right now, firing that right cross at will.
When Tyson gets close, Lennox Lewis changes and stops everything. Folds his chin up.
Now there's blood apparently coming from Tyson's nose.
The difference tonight is too much holding for Tyson. This guy's done too much holding. Lennox Lewis has been holding too much.
George, he's also been punching the crap out of him.
Tyson doesn't even know where he is about now. Better get desperate.
Lennox Lewis told us that no matter what, Ronnie Shields spent 8 weeks teaching Mike Tyson in Maui during his training camp, that as soon as he got hit, he would revert to his natural instincts. And we see less bobbing and weaving and less jabbing from Tyson, and Lewis measuring up.
You know, Tyson is picking up the energy from this crowd. They're pulling for him, and sometimes when you're beaten, that's enough to bring you back in the picture.
You know, there is an arrogance about Lennox Lewis that allows him to drop his hands sometimes, and no matter how hurt and slow Tyson is, he is a dangerous puncher.
Lewis leads on Tyson, connects with a right hand. Tyson goes down, but Eddie Cotton says no knockdown. The force of Lewis on Tyson's back.
Why wasn't that a knockdown, George? Looked like a knockdown to me. Looked like a clear knockdown.
And Eddie Cotton now taking the point away from Lennox Lewis.
It's like this, and you still doing this shit. Don't turn it back in. Then get this motherfucker out of here, man. You can fuck around and get caught with some crazy shit. Step it up, the man is finished.
Put them shits together, baby.
You ain't never took it to himself. Get your hands.
You cannot just run in. The right hand is down. When he jab, throw the right hand and no hook behind it. Okay? Just give me a deep breath, champ. Okay? You can give me another round like that.
Stay alert, champ.
There's a right hand.
Oh, but he leans on him too much. That's what
and he leaned on him. But that's not a foul, George,
yeah,
is it?
You got look.
But why is that a foul?
But he's on his back. He's leaning on his back. He hit him with a good right hand, but what's all the leaning and that's what the referee did a good job.
So far, Lennox Lewis seems to be fighting Tyson and the referee, in my view.
Lewis throwing 39 punches, connecting on 27 for 69% in the fourth round. Tyson 5 of 27.
Tyson is just hoping for one good shot. One good shot.
Emmanuel Stewart told Lennox, keep your hands up.
Here's the guy who's not trying to jab anymore. He's not trying to win points. He's just looking for one shot, and Lewis, that long jab stops anything.
Stop punch. Come on, let's go. Get up.
Eddie Cotton with his hands on both fighters' chests as he pushes them away.
Tyson just can't find the distance. Now he goes leaning on his head again. If he goes down by a shot, the referee is still going to get him.
But Tyson's lowering his head. Tyson looks worn out.
He is.
And tired.
He is.
Once again, Eddie Cotton is what.
Don't do it again. I'm taking another point away. Let's go, Mike.
I don't know what the champion is doing to deserve these kinds of calls from Eddie Cotton. A lot of people were concerned about some political calls from the referee, and right now, in my judgment, we're seeing some of it.
Tyson bleeding now from both eyes.
Get up.
Lennox Lewis should never been playing around. He should have had him and jabbing him and pecking him. He should go on and lower the hammer on him and stop playing around with the jab. You got a man hurt. He's waiting to go. Finish him out because you're just going to get yourself in trouble waiting around for a better shot. Tyson is out of the fight. You don't want to let him back in the fight.
Nice job. Step back. Come on, champ. Stay alert. Stay alert.
He blocked that uppercut. Lennox Lewis is playing around too much. Put the right hand on the man.
Hands up, champ. Hands up. Booyah,
When you play around a lot, that's when you get hurt. He's winning his fights hand down. Just won't throw that power shot.
Lewis going almost exclusively to the jab here in this 5th round, looking for opportunities to set up his right. Now Tyson jabs right back.
A big round for Lewis.
Because you got a dead man in front of you, and you still doing this. Just let that shit go. This fight is all the way. You gonna fuck around and let him catch you with some shit if you don't watch. That man is dead out there, but he wants to quit. And you out here playing.
No. Give me all you got one round. Just let me go hands. I just want your hands moving this round. Can you stay close to the man and get your hands moving this round for me?
Mike, you go out, you're fine.
No, I need your hands moving. You got too much distance. You let this guy jab the hell out of you. You got to move your hands. Now we got to win this.
Doing this. The man has said that let this shit go. Right hand over top, right hand uppercut.
Stay alert, Lennox.
And as long as this fight going, this man is dangerous. You better get him out of here.
Exactly.
Goddamn right. Now, this is ridiculous.
Stay alert. Hands up, stay alert.
Here's the right hand that opened the eye of the left eye of Tyson.
Emmanuel Stewart imploring his fighter to take care of business, echoing the sentiments of George Foreman.
Now Tyson should take a round off now. Let this guy move into him a little bit. You don't need to chase a puncher around all night like that.
Lewis again landing at will. In the 5th round, 31 of 50 for 62%. Tyson throwing just 17 shots, landing 6 according to CompuBox.
That right hand hurt Tyson that time. Tyson is hurt. Better do something.
Lewis, another strong overhand right.
Okay, stop pushing. Stop pushing. Get up.
Lewis is doing, he's cuffing. He's not dropping his head at all. Keeping his head up high, so Tyson, no matter how hard he throws, he can't reach up there.
That's right.
That's what you don't want to do, is start bending low so that guy can hit you with those right hands.
Tyson looks very tired.
You better believe he's tired, and he's hurt, but he's a puncher.
Just 19 rounds of boxing for Mike Tyson in his 6 previous fights over the last 5 years. The lack of stamina may be showing up.
Good punch that shook Lewis.
But it's a punch that should never have happened. If he listened to his corner and gets this fight over, he doesn't get punched at all. Lennox Lewis shouldn't be getting punched at all.
I thought that might have been Tyson's best shot so far, but Lewis took it.
Oh, and he brought something back too.
Swelling now developing under the left eye of Lennox Lewis.
Now you slice, Tyson slows down. Don't charge him, just slow down. Keep your head moving. Get your win for the second half of this fight. Then you can do better. It's very hot in this arena, very hot. And the big guys will start to get tired anyway.
He can't get away from him. Keep shooting uppercuts. What is this coming up?
7-8.
There's no way this man should be in here this long. And the longer he's in here, the dangerous it is. You keep working the jab, but you got to add to it. Every time you hesitate, you start to throw the shot, then you hesitate. Let the stop go. The man ain't that dangerous. Finish the shot, go in.
And come back with your right hand. You understand? Let your hands go. That's all we're telling you to do right now. Everybody can't talk in the corner.
You can do it.
One at a fucking time.
You can do it.
Listen, Mike,
don't worry about it.
be fast. You understand me? Fast.
Lewis has been throwing right hands, and Mike Tyson has been eating them.
Guy with a shorter neck, a longer neck would have been on the canvas now. That short neck of Mike Tyson.
He's built to absorb punishment. There's no doubt about that.
With that 19-inch neck, 230 pounds, and a 5'11" frame, Tyson showing he definitely has a strong chin.
Remember, Tyson has not been able to land one straight right hand yet. It's still there waiting. Still there waiting.
Let's bring in Harold Letterman and see how he has the fight score.
Okay, Fred. All I gave was to Mike Tyson was round one. I mean, 4-1, one even, 58, 55, Lennox Lewis. Eddie Cotton just warned Lennox Lewis for using an elbow, or a forearm. But in any case, Lennox Lewis just champion him to death. A word about that round 4. The judges can't call it 10-8 because Cotton said no knockdown, so it becomes 10-9. Since he took away a point from Lennox, it becomes 9-9, which is why I have, one round even in this fight. So 58-55, Lewis.
All you have to know is that so far, it's all Lewis.
Now, Fran, you're getting a little experience on how they work in the big times. It's jab, jab, and the referee moves in. Now, it doesn't seem like there's anything on Tyson's left hand anymore. The referee, no matter how many times he pushes him away, he just doesn't have the power now.
Lewis, clearly the aggressor inside the ring. Using his 250-pound body to exert force on Tyson.
Get out. Come on, get out.
Nobody would have given Tyson this much credit to just stay in there no matter if the fight is not going his way. He stayed in there, so that's a lot more than we expected from Tyson. He's staying in there. He's bleeding. He's bringing the fight to Lewis. Hasn't backed away at all. He can't take too many more of those right hands. Lewis keeps that up. That fight is gone.
Lewis sizing up Tyson.
This is by far the worst beating Mike Tyson has ever taken.
It's batting practice for Lennox Lewis now. One fastball after another. He hits him and then still leans on him. I don't know why.
I wonder what all those people who think of Tyson as the Tyson of 10 and 12 years ago are thinking now as they watch him absorb this punishment almost without any return.
They tune in for a fight and they're getting one. This guy's not quitting. He's not doing anything.
Look, you understand? Listen to me. You're fighting for the heavyweight championship again. You understand? Not many people can do that. You understand? Now look, I'm not going to sit out there and just let you do this. You understand? You have to throw your punches. You understand? For God's sake, you have 2 hands. You understand? Just let your hands go. Yes, you can. No, let your hands go.
Let's talk it up to him.
I want your hands to move.
You done took this guy's best shot.
This guy got nothing for you.
The guy you took his best shot. This guy's getting tired. It's time for you to go to work, brother.
Come on, man.
Go to work.
You train hard.
George, you called it batting practice.
That's what it is. And this is the time maybe your corner should come in and rescue your fighter. It's not going to get any better for him. I have an old warrior that's taking a beating like that, and he doesn't show me anything this round. I'm going to throw the towel in myself. I'm going to keep him on the stool.
batting practice numbers that Barry Bonds would be impressed with. 31 of 46 for Lennox Lewis in round 7, 67%. Tyson landing just 4 punches, throwing only 17.
Tyson told his corner he'd had enough.
I believe, George, you're right. He might have been looking to end the fight on his stool. He seems virtually useless now, just taking punishment, maybe looking and hoping to bait Lewis into one punch.
Yeah, I would give him the alternative. Look, Tyson, you put up this round or I'm going to stop the fight. I'm not just going to let your brains get beaten out doing nothing.
Mike Tyson's stock is falling faster than Enron.
Oh, good right hand by Mike Tyson. If you don't finish your guy off, that's what you can expect. You're not doing anything to him, so he'll do something to you. There's another good right hand. And I mean, he's aiming to come back on that right hand on top.
Tyson knows he needs a knockout to win. He's never had a knockout past the 7th round. Lennox Lewis tripling Mike Tyson with a big uppercut, and Eddie Cotton separates the fighter.
He's called it a knockdown, thinking that Tyson's knee touched the canvas. I'm not sure I saw that.
I don't think I did either, Larry. Lewis unloaded. Lennox Lewis trying to finish off Mike Tyson with 1 minute left in the 8th round.
Mike Tyson highly motivated to come into this fight, hoping that this fight would redeem not only his career, but his whole life.
Oh, he's doing a good job. He's got heart. You can't take that from him.
Big right hand from Lewis, and Tyson goes down for the 3rd time in his career. 6, 7, 8, 9. It's over. Lennox Lewis cements his legacy as one of the best heavyweight champions of this era.
Nobody should be able to, there's no one in the world can take that from Lennox Lewis now. He is no doubt the best heavyweight of all time. What he's done clearly puts him on top of the heap.
He fought a virtually perfect fight, George.
There's no doubt about it. He did everything.
He controlled it from the beginning. He was patient. He never let Tyson get off. Tyson looked old and slow. And you know, George, when you look back at history, at fighters like Tyson, from Dempsey to Marciano to Frazier, all of those fighters retired at the age of 32, and they were near the end of the rope at the age of 30. This type of fighter has to put so much effort into fighting the way he does that it's hard to sustain it. Where the boxer punchers like Joe Louis and Muhammad Ali,
even Lennox Lewis
and Larry Holmes, all were able to fight closer to their mid-30s. It doesn't require that kind of maniacal conditioning to fight that fight. And we just saw a masterpiece of a boxer puncher in Lennox Lewis tonight.
All I can say is that's right.
Larry, here's the first knockdown. The knees clearly don't touch the ground.
Yeah. Seems to me Eddie Cotton did his best to make this a more even fight than it was. But Lennox Lewis made it an uneven fight.
And when you got the power and the reach, it's hard.
Here's a knockout right on the chin. But that was just the coup de grace. It had been preceded by a tremendous amount of punishment.
George, you talked about power. How's this? 15 of 19 power shots for Lennox Lewis, 79% in the 8th and final round.
I'm telling you, this guy, he's a smooth operator and powerful operator. What can you say but 1, 2, 3, and all that?
Lennox Lewis wanted this fight.
to prove that he was the best heavyweight of the 90s. This, in effect, was the last big fight of the 20th century.
Let's send it into the ring now for the official particulars.
Ladies and gentlemen, tonight here in Memphis, Tennessee, the legacy of a three-time heavyweight champion has been embraced as the referee reaches the count of 10 at 2 minutes, 25 seconds of round number 8. The winner by knockout victory and still the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, the pride of Great Britain, Lennox Lewis.
So the boxing match itself was anticlimactic, an execution rather than an explosion. And by Monday, water cooler talk would center not so much on the details of Lewis's demolition of an outclassed opponent as on the bizarre post-fight interview conducted by both fighters in the ring with Jim Gray.
Mike, have you changed your opinion now of Lennox Lewis?
Well, no. Believe it or not, I've known Lennox for like 15, 16 years. We've always been friends, but in competition, in competition, the best man has to win. We have to do everything we can. I'm happy for him to give me a fight. The payday was wonderful. I really appreciate it. And if you could be kind enough, I'd love to do it again. I think I could beat you if we try one more time.
Mike, what gives you any indication that you could beat him after this performance? And was it a lack of quality opponents going into this that hurt you?
I explained before I needed 2 more fights or 3 more fights to fight him. But I believe if I would have took that route, the fight probably would have never happened. He wouldn't have waited for me. And again, he was just splendid, a masterful boxer. I just take my hand off to you. And just please, if you can give me one more chance, I'd be greatly appreciative.
Are you interested in that at all, based on the way you controlled this fight?
You know, I just wanted to complete my legacy. You know, everybody was saying that, you know, this fight is going to count on my legacy. So I just wanted to prove to the people that, you know, I'm the best fighter in the world, on the planet. No guy tests this, man.
You prove that right now. You were quite annoyed. You had some very derogatory things to say about Mike coming into this fight. You said you had to win this fight to clean up boxing. Do you feel you've accomplished that?
Well, I showed boxing, you know, who's the best in the world. I went out there and showed them I'm a pugilist specialist. I can adapt to any style. And, you know, he showed me one style that a lot of people didn't think I was going to be able to deal with. But I was able to deal with it. A lot of people thought he was going to get away from my jab, but nobody gets away from my jab.
Mike, you behaved tonight. Everybody.
Biggest fans, brother.
Manny Stewart, say that again.
I was telling Mike, I'm still one of his biggest fans. He's given me so many thrills, man. You know, go back to Roderick Moore, you remember?
My friend Roderick.
Yeah, I know, it's a long time back.
Mike,
you've given all of us a lot of excitement. Most exciting heavyweight in the last 50 years.
Thank you very much. It was just beautiful. I'm just so happy you gave me a chance. Nobody wanted to give me a chance. Don King didn't want to give me a chance. I'm just happy someone gave me a chance.
I don't know what it is. You still can punch.
Thank you very much.
Champ and Mike, how sorry are you guys that this fight did not occur many years ago when you were at your best and probably you weren't quite as old either?
Well, you know, the funny thing about that is, you know, heavyweights mature at different times. I would say Mike Tyson matured at 19. Nothing was standing in his way at that time. He ruled the planet at that time. But I'm like fine wine. I come along later on, and, you know, I learned my art, and I went along, just took my time, and I came along and just ruled. I'm ruling now.
Mike, are you sorry this fight didn't take place years ago?
It wasn't meant to be. I've known Lennox ever since he was 16, 15 years old. I have mad respect. Everything I said was in proposition for promoting the fight. He knows I love him and his mother, and I know if he thinks I don't have respect and don't love him, he's crazy.
So you're saying a lot of the behavior, Mike, is just to sell tickets, and that doesn't represent your true feelings?
Well, he knows who I am, and he knows I'm not disrespectful. I respect this man as a brother. He knew me ever since his friend Bernie and Cuss were together, and he knows I have the much respect for him. Like I said before, he's a magnificent, a prolific fighter, and he should continue fighting. I would just love for him to give me another shot.
How important was it for you tonight, Mike, to come out here and be a sportsman and behave in the ring?
Oh, no, it was very, but I said I love and respect him too much to do anything disrespectful to him. And he knows that. And for him to think that is absolutely crazy.
About 30 minutes after that surreal piece of theater, in an interview I did myself in Tyson's dressing room, the beaten star seemed to have changed his mind about a rematch.
Mike, I want to start by saying that I've never been more impressed with you as a sportsman than was the case tonight. You fought a clean and honorable fight, and you were utterly sportsmanlike in the ring afterward. Were you conscious all night of the fact that you were on your best behavior?
Not really, but he's a gentleman. I knew going in this fight I wasn't fighting a dirty fighter, and the reason I conducted myself like that because the fighters I fought, both Norris and Holyfield, I believe they fought me a little dirty, and I just sometimes I overdid it sometimes and took it to the next level and made it so apparent and overt that I had the reputation of a dirty fighter, and it's okay. You know, I've been through a lot with Don King and these guys, and it just really transformed my behavior and my conduct. But things are going well now, and he has fought a wonderful fight. This guy there's no way I could ever be. He's just too big and too strong, and he just fought he's a very consummate fighter, and I just appreciate him giving me a shot to fight for the title.
That's honorable respect. I think we all knew that in order to beat him, you would have to be fast, you would have to throw combinations, you would have to go to the body and do all the things that made you so great back in the late 1980s. Why weren't you able to do it?
He had hurt me early, and I was just trying to keep the pressure. And he has kept me hurt from the early to the end of the fight. But he was fighting great, and he just basically wore me down.
Is his right hand the biggest punch you've ever felt?
No, I just couldn't see it. You know what I mean? I just couldn't see it. I could take a great shot. I just couldn't see the punch.
Mike, there's a great moment in the ring after the fight when during the post-fight interview you very tenderly reached out and wiped blood from Lennox's cheek while he was answering a question. Deep in your heart, do you feel as though he's your friend?
No, I've been friends with him for 15 years. You know what I mean? We're just like, you know, I fly pigeons, right? And this is a good equation. These pigeons live with each other for 10 to 15 years, right? But when I throw feed down, they kill each other to get it. And it's the same way with fighters. We love and respect each other, but we're like mercenaries. We need that money. You know, we need to be the best. You know, I mean, money means nothing. I mean, money means nothing sometimes, but sometimes greatness is even more important than money.
The contract calls for a rematch, although Lennox has the right to take another fight before doing so. If, in fact, the rematch takes place, what will you do differently?
I don't know. He fought great, man, and I don't really think I could beat that guy if he continues to fight like that. But like I said, I'll fight him again, and I'll fight him with all the great aptitude to win. I won't never quit, but I'll fight to beat him.
If you were him, and you've been at that pinnacle, knowing what he's accomplished now and the joy he must feel at getting this victory, would you consider retiring?
It's basically up to the fighter. The fighter is basically how he feels. You know what I mean? If he wants to retire, he should retire. Real fighters really never retire. You know, we hang out to the last moment. At least I do. You get as much as you can, and you get your body beat as little as possible. But, you know what I mean? You try to get as much as you can out of your body.
One last question. Even though you were beaten, did it feel good? Was it satisfying to be back at the top of the division, in with the best, instead of fighting guys like Nielsen and Francis and Savarese?
I'm just happy to be talking to you, even though you said things. And I know this whole game is basically a political beast. And I'm just happy to be talking with you, Bobby Ches, Jim Brown. It was just happy seeing you guys across the table. Hey, baby, be a good boy, okay? You're going to talk to these guys one day.
This is Miguel Tyson.
Yeah, he's going to be a great fighter one day. I want him to be a fighter. You know?
He's already throwing punches with the right hand, Mike.
Come on, be a good boy. You'll be nice, okay? Say hi to Jim Lampley.
Hey, we were happy to have you back too, Mike.
Thank you very
Thanks
much.
very much.
That last shot revealing to you Tyson's one-month-old son, Miguel, whom he held in his arms throughout the unusual interview. Tyson's chastened post-fight behavior engendered plenty of sympathy, mine included, as you saw. But former Tyson manager John Horn made a salient point a couple of days later when he was heard to ask, how do you think Mike would have acted if he had gotten lucky and won the fight? Larry, was the sudden good guy stuff from Mike an epiphany of some sort, or just another con job?
Big news. Mike Tyson behaved like a human being. Maybe Lennox Lewis' tough love did it. Or maybe it's the start of a new big con. The humble, low-testosterone Mike Tyson, who no longer wants to eat his opponent's children or stomp on our testicles or grab every woman. He'll do whatever it takes. He is a survivor.
So where does Mike go now?
Antarctica would be good. But coming off an event that generated up to $150 million, he'll get more chances if he wants them. Fight a few more setups to convince his hardcore fans that he has, yes, rededicated himself, but the sand has run out of his hourglass. At 36, he's ancient for his type of aggressive fighter. The only major fight he can win now is his $100 million lawsuit against Don King.
An entirely pertinent point, because one fight which has been mentioned for Tyson is a possible third matchup with Evander Holyfield, and since Holyfield is promoted by King, a settlement would be necessary for that. Well, if the striking post-fight role reversal was one measure of the totality of Lewis's victory, here's yet another. CompuBox PunchStat numbers showed Lewis landing nearly 4 times as many punches as his challenger. In the area of jabs, Lewis landed more than half of his, held Tyson to 15%. But the biggest dominance came in the area of power punches. Lennox Lewis landing 68% of his bombs. Translation, at will. Joining us now in the studio are the architects of this complete annihilation, Lennox Lewis himself, and his trainer ever since his first loss 9 years ago, Emanuel Stewart. Lennox, I wonder if you were surprised at how rapidly your arsenal seemed to take away Tyson's will and commitment, or was that the opponent you had expected to see?
I think both. You know, a lot of sparring partners find it difficult after a couple of days to get away from my jab. So I realized how it affects those type of boxers. And then, you know, Mike Tyson hasn't done anything to really prepare for a boxer like Lennox Lewis.
Manny, what was the plan coming in for how to deal with the expected Tyson aggression?
Exactly what Lennox did. He went out the first round and established that he was not afraid of Mike. He stood toe-to-toe with him, and it's kind of like an alley fighting type situation for about a minute. And then after that, he let Mike fight himself. And Lennox just grabbed him, tied him up, diffused him, and then at the end of the first round, Mike was a little more fatigued, and also he had a little respect for Lennox's punching power. But then Lennox came out the second round and went into his battle plan, which was to make Mike fight at a distance where Mike couldn't fight. And once he got inside of that distance, Lennox shut him down and pushed him right back out there again and kept working with his jab until he systematically destroyed him.
Did Buster Douglas create the blueprint for this? And did you show this fight to Lewis at any time?
Lennox himself was looking at the Buster Douglas fight just prior to us departing to go to the arena. But
really,
the thing, yes, and the thing that was interesting is that Buster carried the fight to Mike behind a jab, not just alley fight. And Lennox did it, but I reminded Lennox of the fact that you punch a lot harder than Buster Douglas. Yeah. So yeah, that was the main thing. I said, you punch a lot harder, and physically you're a much stronger man.
Before the fight, 2 weeks before, in fact, Panama Lewis came onto the scene, notorious character, barred from boxing. What significance did that have to you, and how did you deal with that?
Panama Lewis is primarily known in boxing as a guy who brings in a lot of illegal substances, so to say, and does a lot of illegal things in fights. So as a result, I only interpreted that he was brought in possibly to do something illegal. And so as a result of that, I led the commissioner and everyone to believe that I would accept a urinalysis, a drug test before the fight, which meant they could do that and then take the illegal drugs, and Mike would be fighting with that possible. So to prevent that possibly happening, at the very last minute, I told the commissioner I would not accept that, and I changed my mind, and I insisted on the drug test being taken after the fight. So that way, whatever was in Mike Tyson's system would have to show up. And they were, I think, kind of confused. There was a big, big argument over that. And finally we won, and I think that kind of neutralized anything that Panama could have possibly did.
Okay, now you're in the fight, and almost right from the get-go, it seems, first that the referee is in trying to establish order, maybe because he's afraid of an outburst, and he's doing all the talking to you. And then it seemed like you were fighting 2 men.
Yeah, I definitely had another person against me. I was shocked that he was actually saying that I was holding, because, you know, holding was like I would be in trouble and I would actually be holding his arm. But I was just making sure that he wasn't able to use his left arm, because I noticed in previous fights he usually comes up with an elbow or something. So I didn't want to be fall prey to any of those kind of shots. So I kind of held his hand there, And that's the only thing I did. He was holding my left arm, and the referee came in and warned us. I was really surprised, but for a lot of good fighters, that can interrupt your focus. But for me, I was very focused on Mike. I didn't even let the ref bother me. I wasn't even looking at him. At one point in the fight, he said, "Look at me, look at me." And I still didn't look at him. I was really focused on Mike.
Well, Lennox and Emmanuel, let's take a look, actually, at the activities of referee Eddie Cotton, which caught our eye during the fight. And we'll ask both of you to comment on this sequence of events, which suggested, as Larry pointed out, that Cotton's entire focus was on you, Lennox, while he paid no attention to whatever transgressions Mike might have committed. This is in round number 2, and already a warning to Lennox.
I thought he was breaking this kind of scene. I didn't even understand this call. I didn't even pay attention to him. I was just worried about Mike at that point. And this one, he said I hit him when he was down. At that point, you can't really argue with the ref because it just wastes your energy, so you still got to stay focused.
Did you fear that he was trying to steer the fight in Mike's favor?
I definitely realized that he was against me, and I figured, okay, maybe he's a bit paranoid. Everybody's a bit paranoid, especially surrounding this fight, and he doesn't want to let anything go.
What is that warning right there?
That warning was a push-off, and I don't know what he was doing. At this point, I was very concerned because I threw a punch, and I thought he was going to warn me again for hitting him when he was down.
Yeah, and look, he wasn't even down. It was like he was giving Mike Tyson a chance to recover when he was about to be knocked out.
Yeah, I don't think he liked me.
Well, he administered a stand-in 8 count, which we clearly made clear in the rules that there is no standing 8 count. If you have to interfere, the fight is over with. I thought that a couple other times there he interfered once again, and even you noticed the manner and demeanor of him. It was really personal against Lennox, and you could see that. Never that he won Mike. In the first one, it was you could see Mike in the clinches telling him, say he's holding me, and the referee pushes Mike, punishes him off, and then does what Mike tells him.
So you had a lot of extraneous factors to worry about, Emmanuel. We're going to take a look on tape right now at how animated you became in the 3rd and 4th rounds, trying to get Lennox to go ahead and get the business of the fight over with. Here's your performance.
He can't deal with nothing coming to him. This fight's from dealing with it, you do. You sit down and get yourself together. You still doing this shit. Don't turn it, bang him. Get this motherfucker out of here, man. You can fuck around and get caught with some crazy shit. You got a dead man in front of you, and you still doing this. Just let that shit go. This fight is over with.
So, Emmanuel, was that about the referee and your fear that he was trying to take the fight away from Lennox?
Yes, I was more concerned at this point about the referee, to be very honest. I never wanted to let Lennox know that because it would get him more agitated. But I could see that the referee was like leaning towards trying to find any excuse to disqualify Lennox. And the longer that the fight went on, I think the more of the opportunity. And I wanted Lennox to try to end it as much as possible. But I didn't realize that in the 4th round, he caught Mike with a very good right hand that really hurt his wrist, which we saw later on.
And to put more emphasis on this, Jim, there were conspiracy theories in midweek before the fight that just such a scenario could unfold for various political reasons. And to see it as brazen as we saw it was quite remarkable.
Distracting to you, Lennox?
It wasn't really distracting to me because I said, you know, we're in it. You know, these are my judges, and I didn't realize the referee was so one way.
Did it make you nervous that Manny was so agitated and seemed so eager for you to go ahead and get it done?
No, I was really relaxed. I was so relaxed for this fight. You know, I started to worry for myself. I was worried, am I too relaxed? You know, and then when I seen Emmanuel so animated in the corner, and I'm saying, he's really hyperactive. So, but I was still cool. I was still cool. I felt really relaxed and positive. So,
let's talk about the future now. I know you're still basking in the victory, the one that you yourself called a defining moment, and really you risked almost like your reputation for your entire career on one fight, which is a pretty bold thing to do. Everybody says, well, it would be the right time story-wise, romantically, for Lennox Lewis to walk off into the sunset. What are your thoughts?
My thoughts is I'm definitely listening to everybody, and you're right. I am still basking in the victory, and I haven't really decided. In some sense, I'm saying the people still haven't seen the best of me.
Well, it's the perception of a lot of general media and some of us in boxing media too that for the moment you've cleaned out the division. But I know there are a couple of fights down the road, and one question people have asked is, would you consider fighting young Vladimir Klitschko, who seems to be emerging as the heir apparent?
I would consider fighting anybody,
Well, the two names that come up are Klitschko, because there'd be a lot of money in it, particularly from foreign television.
So, yeah.
And perhaps Kirk Johnson, if he wins that version of the title against John Ruiz in July, because he's a Canadian and it might be a big event up there.
I think both boxers are great boxers, and there would be great fights for me. But I would knock them both out.
Lennox, Emmanuel, thank you both for coming in and spending time with us, and congratulations again on a great performance.
Thank you.
Our privilege. Well, because of the outcome, Memphis probably saw the last command performance gathering of what has become known in boxing simply as the Tyson crowd. In the days before the fight, they turned old Memphis out, dramatically outnumbering Lewis rooters who had left behind the comfort of World Cup television to make the pilgrimage. Here's a look through the lens of a 16mm film camera at what Fight Week looked like with a theatrical bent.
The crowd in the arena overwhelmingly in favor of Mike Tyson. What's happening in this arena is a mark of disrespect to a guy who's won the heavyweight championship 3 times. And Lennox Lewis steps between the ropes.
Boxing fans, the moment we've all been waiting for is here. It's Rumble on the River. Only one will pass from heavyweight greatness to heavyweight legend.
And they're
Maybe some of those British fans who stayed home because of the big price are regretting it now. The ones who came had a terrific time. And far be it from anyone in boxing to ever suggest there's a moral lesson to be taken from the sweet science. Most fighters and their trainers just want to win. But to the keen observer last Saturday night, there was something bigger on display than just Lennox's complete superiority as a fighter. The larger advantage goes to Lewis's sheer humanity. He's much bigger and better than Tyson, not just in the ring, but in life. And that, as much as anything, is what brought Lennox Lewis to the top of the heap. Larry, where does he rank now in heavyweight history?
Here's one way to look at it. There are 4 legendary fighters in the pantheon of great heavyweights, fighters who transcended the sport and marked their times: Muhammad Ali, Joe Louis, Jack Johnson, and Jack Dempsey. In no particular order, Lennox Lewis joins Larry Holmes, Evander Holyfield, Joe Frazier, Rocky Marciano, and George Foreman to round out a top 10. Just an opinion.
What about Tyson?
He belongs in a separate category with Sonny Liston. Fighters with tremendous ability, but none of the stability to be considered great over the long haul. Hopefully, Tyson doesn't wind up like Liston.
All right, thanks a lot, Larry. So we saw it once. Will we see it again? Maybe. But in the eyes of most experts, if you wonder what would happen in a rematch between Lewis and Tyson, just envision the fight you have just seen and think about it being shorter. Larry and I want to thank you very much for being with us and look forward to having you again in the future on HBO Boxing. June 22 on HBO pay-per-view, the rematch of Eric Morales and Marco Antonio Barrera. Their first meeting was 2000's Fight of the Year. June 29, Vladimir Klitschko makes his return, fighting Ray Mercer. Klitschko looking to make a major statement and looking down the road toward heavyweight champion Lennox Lewis. July 20, also live on HBO, another fascinating rematch. Welterweight champion Vernon Forrest faces the man he upset in January, Shane Mosley. And on HBO June 25, look for Real Sports with Bryant Gumbel. You'll see Muhammad Ali's most revealing interview in years as he talks with renowned interviewer David Frost.
Do you think that the Parkinson's that you've got was caused by boxing?
If boxing caused by Parkinson, 1 million people are boxers.
June 18, HBO's acclaimed documentary series Sports of the 20th Century brings you 3 Seconds from Gold. An inside look at one of the most controversial moments in Olympic history, the 1972 Olympic basketball final between the United States and the Soviet Union.
You can't put time back on the clock. Only God can do that.
3 Seconds from Gold, premiering June 18, only on HBO.
This has been a presentation of HBO Sports.